For today's lecture, we have with us Dr. Prem Chand. He is an economist working as a senior scientist at National Institute of Agricultural Economics and Policy Research, New Delhi. He is mainly working on resource use planning and sustainability issues in Indian agriculture. Recently, his team has developed composite index for sustainable agriculture in Punjab and Haryana. Now I request Dr. Premchand to start his lecture.
Thank you, Dr. Abhimanyu, Dr. Vinayak. Good evening to all. I'll be in this next 1 hour and so 1.5 hours. I will be discussing about the composite indicators and what we have done now. I will be sharing my own experience, why work we have, what we have done now. Brief overview how index and indicators are important, and then steps in construction of index, composite indicators, composite indices, and then I will share 2 of my case studies. The composite, an indicator is a quantity or qualitative measures derived from series of observed facts that can be reveal the relative position of different locations or study unit, whatever is the phenomena. And once we aggregate these indicators, we arrived at a composite index. Composite index are, as nowadays these are recognized as useful tool. As Dr. Vinayak said, that there are number of composite indices globally being used, and actually these are like Human Development Index, Sustainable SDG Index. Then our Niti Aayog is also developing number of indices like Composite Water Management Index, SDG India Index, hunger globally this global hunger index, like vulnerability index. These indices are these are very simple tool, but yet these are the very easily can be interpreted. So actually, a layman can understand that once these are released, next day you will find in the newspapers that this state is performing better and this is performing worst, and these are the areas where these districts or these states need improvement. These are the example of some of the common index: Human Development Index, Global Hunger Index, SDG Index, Global Innovation Index, likewise Global Technology Development Index. And then, but the development of index should be, we should develop the index very carefully, because once if the index is not carefully developed, this may lead to mislead to the policymakers and may have serious implications on the policy. There are 3 major steps in construction of indices. First is defining the conceptual framework, then identifying the dimensions and relative identifying dimensions and relevant indicators to capture these dimension and the purpose for which we are constructing the index. Then aggregating the construction of composite index, that again have 3 steps. Normalization of indicators, that means arriving at the uniform a single scale. Then assigning of weights to each of the indicators within each dimensions, and then assigning weights to dimensions to arrive at the overall composite index. Then constructing the composite aggregate index by assigning weights and different aggregation methodologies. And then back to the data. That means once we have arrived at a composite index, we have to go back to which are the dimensions that needs focus, which are the dimensions that are poor in a particular area or a particular region or a particular domain actually. And then within each domain, what are the indicator, what are the pinpointed the variables which need special focus. Then linking these indicators with other indicators, so like once we have developed a sustainable agriculture index, then linking it with this sustainable development index, likewise linking with development indicators actually, and then presentation of results. Sometimes the presentation of results are also important, how we present the constructed indicators, so that the layman can understand it can interpret these indicators. So first step is, I will just explain these broad steps one by one. So first step is defining the conceptual framework. So the conceptual framework should be defined very carefully. Actually, what is the purpose? What is being measured? Who are the client for the index? Actually, for whom we are measuring or we are constructing this index? Who are the client? Whether it is static or dynamic, it will be over the years, or it will be for a single time. And then it is provide the basis of choice and grouping of the variables into meaningful composite indicators and a fit for purpose principles. Actually means which are the dimensions should be grouped which are the indicators should be grouped in a particular dimensions. Actually, yeah. Then this framework, and this should be developing the framework. The literature, we should consult the literature and involve the experts and stakeholders, because we are defining the purpose of constructing the index actually. And any index we are developing, it should add value to the existing literature actually. Then clear understanding and definition of multidimensional phenomena to be measured. Structure of the various subgroups of the phenomena, that is what should be the structure of economic, social, environmental, and technology dimensions, and what should be the criteria for the variables being selected. Therefore it is important to type. It's important that we should develop the index, and we should select the indicators based on our purpose. But it is equally important that the data should be actually robust, so that we can draw a meaningful comparison, or actually meaningful comparison. So the poor data will lead to the poor results. So both the purpose as well as data availability should be taken care for constructing the indicators index. Then the second step is identifying and screening of the indicators. The indicators should be selected based on analytical soundness, requirement of data complexity. That means if the data requirement is very complex, we should avoid this selection of a particular indicator. We should select the indicator which is easy to measure. Actually, we should select the indicator that have the across the boundary comparison, that we can measure or we can compare across the geographies. It should be cost effective in collection of data. Actually, suppose it requires huge expenditure and huge means resources, we should avoid, or we should decide based on our the resource availability. Relevance of the indicator to the theme of measurements and their relationship with each other. Once we have what are the other indicators we have selected, that also will determine the selection of the indicators. Actually, there should not be any duplication of the indicator. Wherever the indicator is not available, we should try to not. We should not leave that. We should not We should capture this using the proxy indicators. Now I will come to later on. I will come to that how we can capture through the proxy indicators. Now, indicators should have balance between output and inputs. No, that it should not be that indicators we are capturing only the input related indicators, not output related indicators. It should have balance between demand side and supply side indicators. Then it should have efficiency and inclusiveness. It should include efficiency. Efficiency related indicators should also be included, and inclusiveness should also be there. Actually, it should have state. That means what is the current status of the current status, and what are the pressure indicators. Means so for example, for environmental, the high use of pesticide is putting pressure on it, like that. And response, how we are responding this state and pressure affairs. Actually, whether we are for neutralizing this high use of chemical fertilizers, whether we are doing some policy actions, whether we are doing some corrective actions, or government has done, or society has done any taken any response or not. Actually, what are the policy being taken care of? Then screening these indicators should be screened so that we should avoid the duplication. There are number of methods to screen the indicators, like correlation, PCA analysis, like that. But sometime there may be spurious correlation, but either the ultimate judgment should be based on the purpose of the constructing the indicators. That's why statistical methods should assist the screening and grouping of the indicators, but must not only with the guiding principle. Actually, sometimes actually principal component analysis will group indicators in such a way that there is no relevance of grouping these indicators. So actually, that will mislead that. Normalization of indicators. Normalization is transformation of indicators in order to bring a common scales among indicators, because we have the indicators which have different units. For example, prices have different unit. We have suppose we are capturing the deficiency of nutrient, that will have different indicators. So comparing the different unit indicators into a single index is very different. It's not possible. So what we do is we just normalize normalize these indicators into a common scale, and then we aggregate further. Now, so normalizations renders the variables comparable, put on a common basis for further treatments. Now, actually, further treatment is not possible if we are not normalized the indicators. Selection of normalization depends on purpose. For what we are constructing the index. Data properties. What is the nature of data? Based on that, I will come to that one by one. Importance of extreme value. If we give the importance to extreme value, then the purpose will be different. If the purpose we have to exclude this extreme value, the method will be different. Variance in the data. These things will determine the methods of normalizations. There are 5 methods of normalizations. First is min-max normalization. Min-max normalization is applied when the purpose of constructing index is assessing the relative sustainability. For example, Human Development Index. What we do here is we just compare the performance of district or a state or the minimum performing districts. Actually, you see this first one is Xijk minus minimum of Xijk. Means we are comparing the performance of ith indicator in jth dimension of kth region in relation to minimum among these districts or the regions being studied. So we are just comparing with minimum how the district is performing as compared to worst district. Here also, this is for the indicators having the negative relationship with sustainability. So what we are doing, we are subtracting it from maximum, means maximum value will have an adverse impact. So we are just measuring the performance in relation to the worst affected district or regions. It's also known as feature scaling or unitary method. There is the advantage is there is no information losses. Retain the variability in the data because we are just scaling the variables, not else we are doing actually. When the range of indicators lying within the small intervals, actually it will widen the range. Actually, suppose this value, the value of a indicator in one district is 0.2 and in another district is 0.21 actually. So it will just this will the widen the range between 0 to 1 actually. 0.21 will be 0 and 0.22 will be the 1. So it will widen the range of indicators actually. Extreme value or outlier could disturb the transformation of indicators. Now, actually, if the maximum value is very high and the minimum value is very low, so it will just it will disturb the remaining performance of remaining districts or the states. Second approach is Z score, that is the number of standardized deviation from the mean of a data point. And it is transformation brings the common scales in all the indicators with mean 0 and standard deviation. Statistically, it is more robust, but ideally, when the exceptional behavior is to be rewards, then it is used. Actually, indicator with extreme values will have greater bearing on the composite index. Third method of normalization is ranking. In this method, what we do is we rank the state or district or countries. Each study unit is allocated ranks based on indicator value and directions with indicator performance. Lowest value will be ranked top. If the indicator means there is an indirect relationship. Simple, it's a simplest normalization techniques. Don't need much of data. We need only the ranking only, not sensitive to outlier because we have just ranked the phenomena being studied now. It's useful when lack of precise there is precise data is not available. We have only the ordinal data because we have the data regarding the ranking only. Actually, this is better than this. Then this ranking method of normalizations can be used. Actually, don't have access to original data. Suppose we have the three kind of or four kind of indicators. The ranking of four kind of different indicators from different organizations. We want to construct a composite indicators index. So we don't need, in that case, we don't need the original data, or we may not have the access of original data. In that case, the ranking, based on ranking, we can construct a
सर आपकी आवाज नहीं आ रही सर. Sir, now you can. Now, sir, please unmute yourself first, then you talk. Sir, please unmute yourself.
Hello.
Anji sir, now it's okay. You can start.
Okay. So shall I share the screen and then only? Oh, sorry for disturbance. Now it's okay.
Yes, it's okay, sir. Now you can go.
So in this case, we lost the information because we don't have the information of original data. So it will just give the idea, a rough idea of the sustainability index, or index. Is similar to the ranking method, there is another method, categorical scaling methods. There we just the scale the indicator based on the categories. If this indicator is with this percentage, we will give this mark, and this between these one this range we will score this one also. Then next is distance to reference point. Actually, what we do is we measure the performance against the reference point. We define one reference point. This may be internal to the internal or external also. Sometimes we can have the benchmark or the reference point as an average value among the states, among the districts. So sometimes we have the external benchmark also. But in here we take only the one benchmark and we compare just based against the benchmark, actually the single benchmark. Defining the reference value is crucial, and if it is not defined carefully, this may mislead actually the results. Then normalization using thresholds rather than one reference point. Here we use two reference points, actually two critical values. One is upper thresholds and lower. Second is lower thresholds. Actually, I will come to later on this process. Now we have used in one of our study now. Then next step is assigning of weights to different indicators. There are two broad categories of assigning the weights. One is assigning equal weights to all indicators. We just assign the equal weights. And then second is different weights. Actually, different weights can be assigned using two types of methodologies. One is based on statistical tool like principal component analysis, DEA, and then second is subjective weights based on expert stakeholder opinions, and then budget allocation process, and third is AHP process. Assigning equal weights, in all the weights indicators are assigned equal weights, and then it's simple and effective, cost effective also, but it lacks in statistical soundness or empirical ground on the choosing of different schemes. Simply average weight, so it has no statistical background actually. Just we simply aggregate these based on assigning the weights. We just we aggregate the indicator into composite index. Weight based on PCA, it's preferred when the indicators are linearly correlated. If there is high correlations, we should use these PCA weights. Weights are assigned by addressing the overlapping informations of two or more correlated variables. If there exists if there exists indicators with spurious correlations, we should not use this actually method. Weights may not reflect theoretical or the importance, the expected importance of indicators. Sometime this statistical weights or based on PCA may not be meaningful. This may may be different from our purpose. Actually, when non-linearity is present, the PCA is not appropriate. No special meaning can be assigned to the transform variable. Sometimes people use this PCA for the aggregating the indicator into a group of this one defining the component, but every time it is not we may not be as appropriate as the purpose defined. Second is budget allocations. Here simply the experts are asked to distribute the weights among the indicators and dimensions. For example, we have asked the expert that you have the 300 points, no, actually total 300 points. Based among these 300 points, no, actually, these 300 points you have to distribute between 3 dimensions and further between indicators of respective dimensions. More point for more important indicators, it's subjective. Average of points given, so we take the average of all the experts. Then similarly, this EHP also, we just use the systematic evaluation of this one EHP process. This is again the subjective method. Choice of weights depend on objective of constructing the index, reliability and pattern of data, and ease of weighting method. If the indicators are highly correlated, it is advised to use weight based on PCA. If it is not correlated, we should not use PCA. Theoretical factors and policy priorities should be kept in mind in choosing the weights. Means if the priority are different, no, we should not always use these statistical weights. No. Most of the composite indicators rallies already on the equal weights. No, all the most of the indices are using this equal weights in procedures. Individual indicators are finally construction of aggregate index. Individual indicators are aggregated into a component or composite index. Suppose there are 5 indicators in economic indicators, we aggregate into economic, similarly social, similarly environmental, and then we aggregate into overall sustainability index. The major issue in aggregation is compensability of indicators. That means if a poor performance indicator is compensated by another indicators, it is called as compensability. So there are 3 broad types of aggregation methodologies. First is additive aggregation, second is geometric aggregation, and third is compensatory multi-criteria analysis. Additive aggregation, we just use simple weighted arithmetic means. We sum up, if it is based on ranking, we sum up all the ranking scores, and if it is based on this one min-max method, normalized scores, we just assign the weight and aggregate the index. It is suitable when the indicators have the same measurement units. Methods rewards the indicator based on their relative weights. If higher weight, it will means this will reward the higher weight indicators. It is simple to calculate. Drawback is full compensability. Compensability here means if an indicator is having 0 value and another is having 0.9. So the aggregate of 2 indicators means this 0.90 indicators, actually the performing indicators will compensate the performance of 0 valued indicator. So this is this means this is fully compensability, and it should not be used when different goals are equally important. No, because suppose we want that this particular indicator should have minimum this value, or this particular dimension should not have 0 scores, then we should not use this method of the additive aggregation. Then second is geometric aggregations. This is a product of weighted indicators, and it is less compensatory because it is a product, because then when this value will be 0, it cannot be used normally. The geometric aggregations reward the high score indicators, appropriate when the analyst want some degree of non-compensability between the indicators and dimensions. Yeah, as I told that it cannot applied, it cannot be applied when any of the indicator value is 0, and when we are using the min-max approach of normalizations, we cannot use this, because in min-max one value, for at least for one district or one state, the value will be 0, so we cannot apply this now. If any of the indicator value is 0, we cannot apply this now. Then third is non-compensatory multi-criteria analysis. Both the earlier these methods of aggregations are unsuitable if the modeler decide that the loss of one dimension cannot be compensated by increasing the performance of other dimensions. It is more relevant when extremely different dimensions are composited. This ranking is done based on multi-criteria approach. Actually, I will give one example how multi-criteria is. You know that there are number of multi-criteria approach. I will just give simple example of a multi-criteria approach. There is one example. There are 4 countries, A, B, C, and D here. Country A is ranked first in 8 indicators. Country B is ranked first in 7 indicators, and country C is ranked first in 6 indicators. So as per the popularity rule, country A is based as ranked first in maximum number of indicators, that is in 8 indicators. But it is not the case actually, because country A is also ranked bottom in 13 of indicators. So we should not use this popularity this one rule for deciding which one is best. This is called as popularity rule paradox. So Borda's solution says that popularity rule paradox can be solved if we just score the country based on ranking as well as their point of ranking. Here what we do is, given the n number of countries, if a country is ranked first, it will receive no point. It receives 1 point if ranked next to last, and so on. Here what is done? So first ranking country, it will get 3 scores. Second 2. So I will just start from bottom now. Actually, last ranked country will score 0, and then we will be adding 1 to rank higher ranks now. Actually, third rank will get 1, second rank will get 2, and third rank will get 3. So if there are 10 ranks, then these points will be up to 0 to 9. Based on rank, we just multiply the indicator's rank with number of rank point by the number of indicators. Here in this case of first country, this one A will get it is first in 8 indicators. So 8 multiplied by 23, so it will score 23. It will score 23. So sorry, 24. And then 13 multiplied by 0, so 0. So the country has not scored second and third in any of the it is scored 8. So 8 multiplied by 23, it will score 24. And country B, you see, country B, 7 multiplied by 3, 9 multiplied by 2, and 5 multiplied 1. So it will total will be 21, 18 plus 5. So it will score around 5 plus 18, 23 and 21. It will score 24. So B will be the best, no, actually, in this case. For assessing the sustainability, there are a number of approaches have been used. First is partial factor productivity, based on productivity. With this one, if the productivity is low, they have interpreted this as unsustainable. Low productivity or negative productivity, it is interpreted as unsustainable. High productivity means high sustainable. Then some have used growth trend. If it is the trend growth is higher, they have called is sustainable. If it is growth is 0, it is almost stagnant, and if it is negative growth, it is unsustainable. Sometimes some have used instability index. So if it is high instability, that's unsustainable. If it is instability is low, it's called as sustainable. Many of the researchers have used total factor productivity as indicator of sustainability. If the total factor productivity is it is 0 or negative, the growth in total factor productivity is 0 or negative, it is called as it is considered as unsustainable. A negative trend in total factor productivity strongly implies that the quality of resources, because total factor productivity is the growth which is not accounted for by the inputs. So whatever is the growth is there, that will be other than the input growth rate. So if it is high growth rate, it will be the high sustainable. But we cannot say that this unsustainability is because of this particular dimension or because of this particular factor. We cannot say that now, actually. So this composite indicator is the better tool, and it is easy also, actually. Now I will share my two of the case studies. One is sustainable livestock production index, which we developed at agroclimatic zone level and district level. And the second is sustainable dairy farming index, which we have developed at household level. At district level, we took less number of indicators. Why we took less number of indicators? As I told that when the data requirement is complex and data availability means data availability is the issue, then we should use we should select the indicator for which we have data, or we can we can select the proxy indicators. At household level, we can take more number of data, so we took more number of indicators. I told that this I have explained. Finally, we aggregated into a overall sustainable livestock production index. We did sustainable livestock production index. Briefly, I will cover the indicator selected. The reason is you will get the idea how it is this indicator selection is important. For economic sustainabilities, we took three variables, actually three indicators: livestock productivity, labor productivity, and per capita calories availability from livestock. And for livestock productivity, how we captured the value of output from livestock products per unit of standard animal units. And these are easily available at the state level now. We took at district level also, because using the CSO methodology, we just calculated the value of output from livestock products, because we have the data on milk production, data on meat production district wise in integrated sample survey. So meat production is also milk production, also egg production, wool production, everything we have. So just we multiplied the production by prices and arrived at value of output from livestock products, and then divided by livestock units. Now we arrived at livestock productivity. And then second is this one. Second is labor productivity. Labor productivity, it was measured as value of items, various items of livestock product. Same, the value of output from livestock divided by number of labor employed in livestock. As such, data on a number of district-wise number of labor employed in livestock sector is not available. So what we did is we just assumed some proportion of cultivators and agricultural laborers to involved in livestock sector. Some studies we found that this much proportion of the livestock numbers, now the cultivators and agricultural laborers are involved in livestock. Then third is per capita calories availability from livestock products. What we did is we took three products, that is milk, meat, and egg. We converted into energy by multiplying the energy content in respective products, and then divided by population. Then the second component was social equity index. Social equity index, we took three variables: female literacy, access to public infrastructure for livestock. These are available in integrated sample survey, and in for most of the states, these data are available. And then growth in rate of common property resources. Why common property resources? Because livestock are dependent more on common property resources, and that will have means direct bearing on sustainability. If common property resources are declining, then it will have negative impact on the sustainability. Then access to public infrastructure facilities for livestock. This variable we captured through number of veterinary health, breeding, and extension institutes. And health institutes means number of hospitals, dispensaries, sub-centers, diagnostic units, and then AI centers, sheep breeding farms, etc. Actually, extension. These data are available at district level, and for most of the states. I don't know, for Rajasthan it is available. It conducted this study in Rajasthan, and I think for Gujarat and Punjab and Haryana, these data are available. I have seen that for Haryana is also available. Most of the states, these data are available. Third was common property resources. So we calculated the growth, and then growth was taken as indicator. Third dimension was ecological security index, and for ecological security index, there may be number of indicators, but how to capture these at district level or state level, that is really a challenge. So what we took is proportion of area under pasture and grazing lands to net sown area, and second is percentage of surplus animals in relation to feed and fodder resources. That means how much is the carrying capacity, how much how much is the pressure of livestock on these feed resources. Actually, whether there is a shortage, or if the higher number of livestock in relation to feed and fodder availability, that will have the negative implications in terms of environment, because they will graze the forest and these things, actually, and that will have negative impact. So how we surplus animal population we calculated? We just calculated the carrying capacity of carrying capacity, based on carrying capacity, in how much number of livestock can be sustained, and how much is the number of actual population of livestock, and then we subtracted the actual number of populations from the optimum number of populations. That will give the surplus population. these are results. No, actually, I won't discuss. These are have more no relevance. No, actually. Second, we calculated the. I have explained one thing, that one method of normalization, and in this case we used two set of this one weighting scheme. I have explained about the min-max method of normalization. We used both equal weights and experts weight. We did not use PCA weight. PCA weight we used in another study. We are just that study just under process. It's under process and will come shortly. And will I have not included that study. Actually, I'm just presenting the my old experiences, not the recent one. Second is this household level dairy farm sustainable dairy farming index. We constructed this sustainable dairy farming index, and these steps I have already explained. These are the indicators we selected. Uh, Three pillars we took: social, economic, and ecological. For economic, cost of milk production, and then and then for input productivity, that is labor productivity, that is rupees per man days, capital productivity, feed productivity. At district level it is not possible to capture capital productivity, but at household level we can collect number of data, and we can capture that. Feed productivity, then per capita family labor income in relation to consumption expenditure. How much of the consumption expenditure is met from the dairying. Then gender equity, we constructed a woman empowerment index based on the information collected from households. Then for the second is drudgery of work. How much drudgerous the rearing of livestock. This we capture through three variables: carrying of weight, how much weight they are carrying, and then the sharing of work burden. Whether a livestock rearer is he is individually involved in the activities, or the whole family or number of persons are more. Actually, higher the number of persons means it will be more sustainable, because it won't have we will have burden on a single person. Off days from work. No, once the farmers, they don't have off days like we have actually. So how many days they can afford away from the dairying, we captured, we collected the informations, and this was it was included in the as a indicators. Animal waste management, how they are managing the waste. Proportion of dung as used for fuel. Higher use of dung will lead to unsustainability. If it is used for manures, it will have positive effect on sustainability. Then second is enteric methane emissions. That is how much emission is being generated per liter of milk produced. Then another ecological indicator was animal genetic resources, animal genetic potential, how they are managing their animal genetic resources. Actually, whether their practices are leading to unsustainability, or they are managing well, so that the sustainability is not hampering them. How we scored? We identified two thresholds. One is upper threshold, and second is lower threshold. Upper threshold here is best case if the indicator have positive relation. And it is minimum value of indicator if it has negative relationship with sustainability. So for example, if it is labor productivity, higher labor productivity will be the upper threshold level. And if it is cost of milk production, again the highest cost of milk production will be the upper threshold level. There is no difference. The upper threshold means highest value. or higher value or whatever we define, that will be the upper threshold level. Scoring will be different, but the thresholds won't be different actually. Minimum desirable in case of positive, this lower threshold, minimum desirable in case of positively related indicators, and best condition in case of this one negatively related indicator. When the indicator has direct link with sustainability, actual value of indicator more than upper threshold, it was scored full. And actual value less than its lower threshold level was scored as 0. And in between, we use this one formula, this one LT, so actual score minus lower threshold, this one divided by the range difference of two thresholds multiplied by maximum scores. No, actually, just unitary method of scoring now. And in case of this one negative early related indicators, we just did reverse, and we just changed the direction of indicators. No, whole notation. This one, this we subtracted from maximum score. No, actually, and that's why this direction has changed. No. Yeah, here you can see actual minus lower threshold divided by this difference by maximum score. And the same, no, actually this whole notation we have subtracted from maximum score, so the direction have been changed now. Actually, I will explain this thresholds in detail so that you can get ideas. For economic sustainability, as I told, there were 4 indicators: production, labor productivity, capital productivity. For the level. What I told here is, for negatively related indicator, lower threshold level means actual value less than lower threshold will be scored 0. So lowest scores means it will be better. So we scored full. And upper threshold threshold was average selling prices of milk. If a farmer is not getting even the sale price of milk, then it won't be sustainable. So we define these threshold level. And for labor productivity, minimum wage rate, he or she should get at least equal to minimum wage rate. Otherwise, he or she will switch over towards this one another, or he will go for wage earning. Then for upper threshold, what was the upper threshold level? Average productivity of top 10 households. You may define, you may choose your threshold based on the scientific relevance and the stakeholders consultation. Capital productivity, the lower threshold level was interest on fixed capital. That is, if he is getting at least equal to fixed deposit, means if it is he is having his money in bank, then at least he will get this one a return. So if if he is getting, he or she is getting ideal rate of returns, that is from dairy, be 20%, he will get full score. Feed productivity, that lowest was 0.545 liter per kg of dry matter intake. And if animal is giving 1 liter of milk per kg of dry matter intake, that household was scored as full. For social sustainability, these were the thresholds. If 0% means he is earning 0, this his family labor income is 0, so he will get 0.2. If 100% of his monthly per capita expenditure is meeting out from this dairying, he will be scored full. empowerment index, since it is index, so 0 and 100 or 0 and 1, if it is on 0 to 1 scale, it will be 0 to 100, 0 to 1, if it is on 100 scale, it will be 0 to 100. Carrying of weights, no, actually, if these were defined based on scientific evidences and some literature. If a person carrying 5 kg for 1 kilometer, that was minimum, actually, and that was based because it has negative relationship. That was based case now. And if a person is carrying 10 kg weights per kilometer, means for a 1 kilometer, that means 15% of the body weights of the adults, it will have, means it will be it will be the least sustainable, actually. These 15% of body weights, these are defined by some ergonomists, actually. Work sharing, if work is shared, means we just convert it into scores, and 0 to 1, it is as higher the sharing means higher score, it will get higher scores. Off days, we define two thresholds. This lower threshold is 12 days. Means if a farmer is getting 1 day off per month, he or she should get at least 1 day per month. And if he or she is getting this one once a week, it is best now, because like us, he or she is getting at least 52 days. So there should be some logic in defining these thresholds now. Then for ecological sustainability thresholds, there were 3 indicators. First is dung used for manures. If it is 100% used for manure, it is scored full. If it is means entirely used for fuel, it was scored 0, actually. Methane emissions, these were the thresholds, 26.3 and 42.6. These are minimum and maximum, and based on experts' opinion. Breeding practices, again, that was the index. So based, if it is 0 and it was scored 0, and 100 it was scored full. Finally, we aggregated into sustainable dairy farming index. We took, we just multiplied the scores of all the dimensions and took a log, actually. So we took on 100-point scale. So the total of means total the maximum sustainable dairy farming index will range from 0 to 6 now. If it is 100 multiplied by 100 multiplied by 100, so and the log of that will be the 6 now, actually. So 0 to 6, we categorized based on the range. 0 to 3 was lower, 4 to 5, but like this we categorized now. These are the results. I won't discuss. These are my some of publications you can refer for details. Development and applications of integrated sustainability index for smallholder dairy farmers in Rajasthan. That is in this one ecological indicators. If I will receive any request for sharing through email, I will share that. I have mentioned my email also. You can write me email. And second is this is based on this one household level data. And second is this is based on this using sustainable livestock production index for developing district livestock of the development of livestock sector, a case study of varied region of Kerala. This is based on agroclimatic zone wise data, and this is published in this one Journal of Applied Animal Research. This is based on min-max methodology. That was based on this one benchmark methodology, or this reference point methodology. If you require, you kindly write me. I will share you the publications. I will just explain some of the methodologies using Excel. I don't know much of this one statistical software. I depend mostly on Excel, and I think Excel is can do many things. and most of my calculations I did in Excel only. I will explain all the three now, mainly two, which I have explained. This is the data set now. There are, I have taken selected some of the selected indicators only. Capital cost of meal production, labor productivity, capital productivity, feed productivity, family labor incomes, women empowerment index, Dusry index, use of dung as a fuel, and methane emission. These are the thresholds now I have put now actually. How to score, I will just explain. Based on min max, simply you just identify minimum value and maximum value. Minimum, maximum equal to, just I'm taking, sorry. I have just identified minimum and maximum of the each of the indicators. So what this cost of meal production has negative relationship with sustainability. So what will be the formula? Equal to max minus actual value divided by range, max minus minimum. I will put dollar mark so that I can copy it for all the indicators. So my score for household number 101, that was minimum. The cost of production was minimum, so it was scored 1. I will drag it down. It must be 0 for household number 49.8, household number 103. It's 0 for 103. Second indicator, I will just put this one now. I will freeze the top row and column. Second is labor productivity. It has a direct link with sustainability. So what I will do is, I will, instead of max minus actual value, I will actual value minus minimum. I will put dollar sign here. There is some mistake. Not 613. It should be 16. So the minimum is here, minimum is 300, that is for, sorry, 245. Minimum is 245. So 245 is for household number 102. So for 102 it is scored a 0, and maximum is for household number 109. It is 109. It is 1. Just copy for another indicators. Capital productivity, since it is positive related. Feed productivity, family labor income again positive, women empowerment index again positive. Drudgery, higher the drudgery, lower will be yes. Dung as fuel also. Methane emission, higher the methane emission, less sustainability. So I use. Simply, if weighted aggregation, if it is simple aggregations, just average it now. Nothing you have to do. If it is weighted average, just assign the weights and aggregate the index. That is min-max min-max method of normalization. Second is this one benchmarking or this one threshold value of normalization. These are my thresholds. So what I will do, instead of this formula, I will use second one. Actually, cost of meal production, this is negatively related. So for cost of meal production 25, I am giving just equal marks to 4 of indicators. I distribute 100 marks between 4 indicators. So my this one score will be 25 minus actual value is 27.2 minus lower threshold level, that is this one 27, divide by what was formula, I have to see once again. UT minus is difference minus maximum divided by maximum score. This is UT minus LT divided by max score is 25. Yeah, 25, because 27 is the best case, the minimum cost, so it will score 25 out of 25. And if it is more than 40, it will score it will go negative also, but we have to restrict it to 0 now actually. So just I will just restrict it to 0 now. For I will do that later. You can do it. You restrict it negative value to 0, and if it is more than 25, you restrict it to 25 only. So to maximum score only. For positively related indicator, just you remove this one. Yes. These are the scores. Wherever it is going beyond this one, the maximum score, you restrict it to maximum. If it is going below 0, you score you restrict it to 0. Likewise, you can do it for all the variables. Here weights are not defined. Here there are 3 indicators, so point equal to 100 divided by 3. So just I'm assigning equal weights to all 3 indicators, 50 and 50. So these 2 important methodologies of aggregation or normalization method I have explained, and this one aggregation also, if it is geometric, simple geometric aggregation and equal weights, just aggregate it actually. Simply geometric, arithmetic mean and geometric mean. If it is additive aggregations, simply do average equal to average of these indicators. Why this is? Oh, there is some problem. Oh, sorry. Minus lower threshold. I have not freeze the column number. That's why it is creating problem. Yeah. If it is simple, we geometric mean without no with equal weights, we'll just do geometric. Because some of the value are negative, and therefore this one geometric aggregations is cannot be applied now here. Okay, that's all. I think there are 15 minutes more. We can have some question answer. If I have not covered any, then kindly let me know, please. हेलो
हाँ जी सर
हाँ जी एक मिनट हाँ अभी ठीक है नॉट ओके from my side I have covered it now. Question answer
question answer many questions are there
okay
relevant questions one by one 15 minutes we have
okay sir, how to finalize whether index or scale to be developed for measuring any concept which we want to quantify in our research? How to identify that depends on your purpose. Actually, as I have told you, that if the purpose is to assess the relative sustainability, you go for min-max method. And if the purpose is to assess the absolute sustainability, you go for this one benchmarking or this threshold value of the method of normalization. How do we scale the qualitative indicators?
sir you can read out that question so that panel
Yeah. Second is how do we scale the qualitative indicators? We use we have first we have to score the qualitative indicators into quantitative. You can order the this one qualitative indicators, and then you can. But first you have to define the relevance in terms of sustainability. Then only you can do that. And if how best these indicators can be used as a tool for economic development, yeah, you can use these. We can as I told that these can be linked with other indicators like sustainable development indicators, economic development, other economic development indicators. We can link with these, and these can be used as a tool for economic development. And moreover, as I told, we have to, once we have quantified the sustainability of a district or a region or a country, we have to go back to data, go back to individual dimension and then indicator. Suppose a particular district or poor, which are the dimensions which need focus, actually. For suppose I have calculated the index for sustainability index for Punjab or Haryana. My this one environmental dimension is coming very poor. So I have to focus on environmental dimensions only. Why to focus on other 2 dimension or 3 dimensions? Within an environmental dimension, which are the indicators which are performing poor? You have to identify and then advise the policies accordingly. Then next is just a minute.
Relevant questions.
What if we take the highest value of top rank? What if we take the highest value of top rank? I could not understand it. Take the highest value of top. It's a ranking. It's in benchmarking criteria. The critical values may be different for different state regions. How do we address this? As much as possible, we should define these critical values comparable over the space. Actually, suppose we are taking this one. If it is not comparable, we can normalize based on the reasons. No, so for example, I will give the example of soil. This one now, soil indicators. For example, critical value for soil pH is different for Punjab, maybe different for Haryana, maybe different for southern states. These critical limits may be different for different regions. So you can identify, you can take different thresholds. But for some of the indicators which are which as much as possible you should take the uniform scale so that you can compare over space and time actually. And over the times also, if there is change in any standard methodology, then only we should change the threshold value. Otherwise these won't be comparable over the time also. One advantage of this benchmarking and or this threshold method of normalization is we can compare the index over time now. And next is Sulakshana.
Sir, from Facebook, one
Which is
that from Facebook, one request is that kindly share some material where they can refer these indexes or indices.
okay. I will share that my.
Now we can tell also if any important source is there.
One the source is this OECD handbook for construction of index. There is one handbook for the, I don't remember exact title. I can tell you the exact name of that indicator. Handbook for constructing composite indicators, methodology and guiding principles. Actually, methodology and user guide. That gives the complete procedure for constructing the index. How to assign weights, how to normalize the indicators, how to aggregate the indicators, all these things. These are given in this. Which is the better method of assigning weights? Statistical one like PCA or Stochastic. That again depends on Sulakshana. That depends on the purpose of the constructing index. If the sometime based on policy requirement and policy relevance, sometime expert weights are more relevant than these statistical weights. Sometimes these statistical weights may not have some relevance. These statistical weights will give some means another type of results that cannot be compared. No, actually, when we did it taking 114 indicators. This PCA was taking some of the indicator from soil, some of the from this one socioeconomic, and was the results were not very useful actually. So always taking the PCA weight or statistical weight is not advisable. as I told that most of the index, actually they use equal weights. Equal weight is simple also. And once we have defined the indicator very carefully, as by balancing these things, actually, as I told, this should balance the demand size and supply side, response, pressure, and this one state indicators. We have balanced the selection of indicators, then equal weights is as good as these statistical weights, and these will have more relevance. In which criteria PCA weight is good for this one congregations into single variables? If this one there is high correlation between the indicators, then PCA is more useful actually. If there is no correlation, there is no point in using of PCA. And of course, AHP will be better, or AHP will be superior over the simple budgeting method of weight assignment, because AHP will use both the expert opinion, and then it will use statistical methods also. And rather than exact weight, it will order the preferences on the scale of 0 to 9. So AHP will be better among the subjective weights now. In which criteria good for that is covered. A weighting method. Actually, weighting methods is again depends on the purpose. Actually, if the indicators selected are sensitive towards weights, then which indicator is means more relevant, means that I will say that weighting method is again depend on purpose of the analysis. How do we scale the qualitative indicators? That is covered. Anything else? In which criteria?
So many people are confused about the scale and index. They are
no scale is no, actually scale is just we are making the indicators, actually the raw value of indicators into a unitless value. For example, one indicator is means one indicator is in the unit of one indicator is prices per quintal. One indicator is suppose the pH value in pH value, or one indicator is the organic matter in soil. So how we can compare the indicators once we have not we not have a normalized or the indicator. So we are scaling. Scaling means we are making the indicator unit free, so that we can compare this. Once we have normalized, we aggregate into the component indicators. Suppose there are 5 indicators in one component, we aggregate into the component indicator index, and then from component index to overall this composite index.
Maybe sir, last question we can take. That is, which method of normalization is best to use, or it's depend on nature of variable? Which method of normalization is best?
Generally, if we are comparing, we have to assess the relative sustainability. It's better to use min max. If we have to compare over the time, then this benchmarking method is more useful.
Okay. If you find any relevant question, you can take. Otherwise, we'll.
Okay. What difference items it might will composite index by assigning equal weights? Just a minute. What difference it makes in the value of composite index by assigning equal weights? What difference it makes if in the value of composite index by assigning equal weights and different weights to individual indicators? If weights are significantly different, then the index will be different significantly. If the number of indicators are less, it will have more effect on the composite index. If the value of the number of indicators are more, any weight will not have much difference. We from our analysis concluded that if the number of indicators are more, we can take any kind of weights. Equal weights is sufficient. How many variable can we include in each indicator? We should not use too much indicator, but the dimension should be, or the purpose we are for which we are constructing index, that should be solved. That may be, if you are using you can capture it through 5 indicators and your purpose is solved, 5 indicators is enough. If your purpose is not solved, if you have selected 100 plus indicators, there is no relevance. So the number of indicators depend again on the purpose, and based on data availability also. If data are available, you take more number of indicators. If data are not available, quality data are not available, better to take less number of indicators and calculate the index.
Mr. Jagannathan is asking, sir, what should be the sample size for arriving at index?
Sample size, I have to see. I cannot answer that this time actually. Sample size modified the indicators. Now I have to
okay,
see
sir.
that, and then
I think, sir, it's 5 already. Now most of questions also we have covered. We can.
I will see, and individually you can write me the mail so that I can answer you.
Send them to also. Also, these attendee and viewers can send, if their questions or queries there, they can send directly to Dr. Prem Chand, scientist, National Institute of Agriculture Economics and Policy Research, through his email ID also. Email ID is available on Institute website. Okay. Thank you very much, sir, for nicely explaining this.
Thank you. My email ID is prem, prem3281@gmail.com. You can use my official email ID also, prem.chand@icar.gov.in. You can write me mail, and I will share my publications on the important publications and material over this one Facebook also. I will link this, and I will advise you to go refer this book, Construction of Composite Indices by OECD Handbook of Construction of Composite. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Dr. Vinayak and Dr. Abhimanyu.
Thank you very much, sir, for nicely explaining this topic. We have got very good appreciation and good feedback from both Zoom as well as Facebook platform. Thank you very much, sir. Viewers, tomorrow again we'll start with Logit, Probit and Tobit model. We'll meet again. Thank you very much.
Thank you.